I am going to be your moderator this morning. My name is Doug Drake. I'm the head of sales in the United States. And so I'll be starting off with a little bit of a presentation on ChemAxon science, weird science. And I'm keeping my earring on for memory's sakes of the boats last night. Hope you guys all enjoyed last night and the activities, and look forward to seeing you also this evening. So I'm going to just start with a couple of comments and then introduce speakers. And then this afternoon, I'll be helped with a couple of my other colleagues. So I want to start with some highlights from 2012. The good news for all chemists is that the majority of the NDAs that were approved by the FDA last year were small molecule therapeutics. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about the demise of chemistry and drug discovery, but as a therapeutic, small molecules actually really work, and they're deliverable. Say that again? Actually, I don't have the figures for 2011, but it was a significant bump. I'll have to go back and find what was 2011 was. But that was pretty significant for 2012. I'll dig that up for you, Dart. Yeah. But I think that the single message that we're all hearing is that drug discovery lies under a lot of pressure. Organizations are being cut back. They're becoming, in many cases, virtual. Increasingly more R&D is being done by academic labs and CROs. There's an increasingly reliance upon in silico predictions over wet lab type work, just to get a first understanding of what things might be happening with a small molecule or using that as a diagnostic. And I think there's a lot more interest anymore in also being able to start doing data mining, text analytics to really try to get more information out of the information that we have. How do we get at we talked not just the issue of big data, but how do we make sense out of publications, patents, online meetings, things like this? How do we really capture more of that intellectual information that's happening right there in the meeting? And that's some of the interest in the touch technologies. I think ChemAxon has a lot to offer in this area, but I also am going to offer a couple of views on our industry. And I think some of the distinct challenges that make us unique from other industries is that, number one, when it comes to drug discovery, we don't know what we don't know. The biological systems within each of us is different. Pharmacogenomics is an emerging field, personalized medicine. How each of us respond to a medication can be very different. And we're starting to understand that, but there's a lot of aspects that don't lend our process to kind of an industrialization of the process because we're still very much so learning the process. And I think that's an aspect that you all know, but a lot of people trying to be part of this business don't necessarily know. That, a small molecule therapeutic is not just an active moiety against a target, but also a problem of how to deliver that. How to make it soluble, how to get it into the portal bloodstream, how to get it into the liver without being broken down by P450s, how to make it non-toxic, how to make it not readily protein bindable, how to make it readily excretable and not stuck in the body forever. So there's a lot of issues here and a lot of challenges, and we treat many times disease as one moiety when it's not. Even cancer, for example, is a very different disease, whether it be liver to skin to brain, and otherwise. And so we tend to make generalizations that are oftentimes misleading, and I think that's a big issue. The other aspect that I think in our industry is that we also have to realize that we're really only one half step out of academia. We're still a very academic-oriented business and industry. And so we're many times suspicious. If you recall having been a postdoc and hoarding your material and keeping from the guys next door to you, there's still a little bit of that industry attitude because we're many times working on the same targets, working on the same diseases, trying to develop the same therapeutics. And so going back to some of the challenges I mentioned here, where we're now trying to be more cooperative, it's not just an issue of the tools, it's also an issue of the mentality of how we can work together. But I think that pressure's coming, and we have to collaborate now more with CROs and also outside partners and so forth. So I think I wanted to mention those as just highlights, but then talk about where I think ChemAxon can help in some of these regards. And I think one of the comments that I got yesterday, in particular with this UGM, is that ChemAxon has, I think, brought forward a lot of new features and a lot of new things at this meeting, probably more so than in the last 3 years. And I think that's because we're responding to what we see as the challenges, and we're trying to help you. And that's what I think is also the message in the meetings and the talks you'll see today. Plexus with open innovation with Eli Lilly, and we're obviously extending that into our new platform and the technology that you heard more with Tim about. In silico technologies, reactor and our disco team really helping try to use those as diagnostics to better understand molecules before they even get into testing and so forth. And then predictive informatics within metabolizer, looking at P450 and potential stability, and obviously extending that potentially in someday toward toxicology. And I think one of the really exciting things that we are working on is increasingly this knowledge management aspect of how to get more information out of the content that you have, whether it be pulling information out of patents, being able to convert text and structures, or graphical images into live structures and PDFs and other documents, so that obviously meetings actually have a chemistry contextual context to them. I think that's very important, and we're seeing that increasingly the people want to manage that data and make it mineable, and that's where we're going with a lot of our, I'd say, text mining, knowledge management tools. So we have, I think, a lot of things to talk about, and I'm really excited about some of the presentations we're going to do today. But one of the aspects is also not to be part of the problem. So I like this graphic. Many of you guys have probably seen this before. But I think one of the aspects is how to also make things that can be easily usable, intuitive to the user, so that it isn't a huge learning curve and a huge adoption hurdle. And that's also the challenge that we have as a vendor and a partner with you. So this is a little bit of our agenda today. This is actually just the ChemAxon talks, but we actually have a number of others. I'm going to turn over the presentation this morning to actually Roger Sale. He's not here. Who's giving the... You are. Okay. Well, but you're Roger, right? You're the Roger knock-on off? Okay. And then we'll have, Duri talking about majors and minors. Olga from the University of New Mexico talking about chemical mixture fingerprints and applications. And then we'll have a break at 10:25. And then Tim Parrott from DART will talk about a chemical library design tool. DeltaSoft, Dan Harris with RTI will talk about their work with DeltaSoft and ChemAxon tools. And then 11:55, Akosh Pop will talk about our chemical registration. At 12:10, Roland will talk about a registration of large molecules, and then we'll have our 12:30 lunch and exhibit. And the exhibits, once again, are going to be in the next room also with the refreshments. So anybody, that little secret back door is open. So if you guys need some coffee, feel free to go get that. And also the touch screen and other things are still there to play with. So I appreciate your attention and look forward to the day.